right, well, this story is all about what they call tiny little town, but what we'll see is there are tinier towns. Marion, Kansas. This town has held a newspaper for, I think, almost or a little over 100 years.
Wow.
And this newspaper has gone reporting on everything from local bakery clubs all the way to some hard-hitting like local news that actually made some differences. This is the type of news that people love to see. This is the type of news that people get behind. This is the news that people really support and want to see in the national news, but don't. And unfortunately, just like national news, this sort of local news company got into a little bit of trouble. Allegedly, there was a lot of corruption in the police force at the time. The newspaper did kind of try to investigate one of the sheriffs of the area, and they didn't take kindly to that.
Oh.
They didn't quite take kindly to that. And unfortunately, in this quaint little town, there might have been a lot of retaliation that has happened to the point where the company itself, newspaper company itself, was raided. A lot of stuff was taken. They couldn't do business. And the very old owner, I believe 98, was so stressed that they passed away. Now, I haven't heard of this story, but I'm hoping a lot of Americans will stand up and take notice of this and kind of get down to the bottom of what really happened. If this is corruption that needs to be squelched immediately. If it's not, then move on, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it was a very fun story. Or I shouldn't say fun, interesting story. And I want to look it up a little bit more and see what happens. Do you think that it is hard for people living in Korea, especially Seoul, to wrap their heads around living in a city of less than 2,000 people?
I guess, yeah, for people who are born and raised in Seoul, which is 10 million or potentially 20 million if you include the greater Seoul region, yeah, it must be quite hard to understand. But I guess, if you like to travel, do some weekend trips, you've probably at least visited these smaller towns around Korea. They're not that far away. We're pretty small
Nothing's
country.
far in Korea.
Yeah, so unless if you've lived a very sheltered life in Seoul, then maybe, yes, you don't understand. But I'm sure most people know.
Yeah.
A little bit, right?
Right?
Really? You tell me.
Yeah, actually, you tell us, please. Comment right down below. If you can, or just yell at the screen until we hear you. What about living in a small town for you? You've always lived in a big one. What do you think the pros and cons are?
Well, my father grew up in a tiny town in sort of the northeast of England, and my grandmother still lives there, and his younger brother lives not far from there, and their family, and it's just awful. It's just absolutely awful. Like, it's stuck in the past. People like my grandmother have never really been outside of this tiny little town. They don't understand the world or people or how to deal with young people properly. No, I would be awfully upset if I had to live in a small town like that. It's just the opinions and the views and as a woman, you can imagine without me having to say it, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it.
If you don't understand, leave your small town and explore the world a bit.
Yes, please.
Yeah. As a very young child in that really small town I grew up in, it was amazing. I could do anything, go anywhere, didn't have to have a worry at all. Just fantastic. But no opportunities, no forward motion. Like you said, they're stuck in the past. And I bet if I was adult now, going back to that same city, it would be gut-wrenching and absolutely frustrating to deal with. Yeah, I do believe that. It was very great as a child, but I can't imagine living in a small town as a kid. Even if it was a forward-thinking small town, there's still nothing around. And as an adult who is used to being in a 10 million large city, could I go back?
I suppose, yeah, it does sound fun, though, as a kid, running free through the hills and dales.
Absolutely.
And
ride your bike anywhere you want. Go to the local library. Yeah.
feel safe.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of drugs there, but that was it. There's not much violence, just druggies everywhere. Yeah.
They found something to do.
They found something to do, exactly. Which is fine, whatever. Anyways, well, let's go ahead and look at the vocabulary down below. There has been quite a few that have come up just in normal everyday conversation, so you guys can use that too, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Just shy of.
Just shy of.
Quaint.
Quaint.
Disciplinary.
Disciplinary.
Retaliate.
Retaliate.
Slander.
Slander.